Hey guys, welcome to Braddels Gaming and to another episode of my Far Cry 5 custom map series. This is a series on my channel where I like to show you guys the custom maps that I create in the Far Cry 5 arcade editor, and today we're going to be having a look at part 1 of my Far Cry New Dawn inspired Team Deathmatch map called The Twins, which is available to play on the Xbox One. And this is actually one of my older maps. I never made a video for it because the original gameplay that I captured, which was super good, got corrupted, the file corrupted on me, and ever since I haven't really been able to capture a gameplay that reflected as good as that gameplay did. But I won't talk about that too much in this video. This video is more of a map breakdown in terms of the design and construction phase, so me actually editing it in the Far Cry 5 arcade editor, and part 2 will be actually showing you guys gameplay of the map in an actual multiplayer lobby, and me basically just telling you guys how the map actually turned out and a few tips and tricks on how I reckon you guys should play this map if you want to do the best for your team. But moving on, I'm going to jump into this map, and I'm pretty proud with how this map turned out. Basically, the premise of this map was that I was trying to create a map that was going to be like Far Cry New Dawn, and like I mentioned earlier, I published this map in December 2018, even before Far Cry New Dawn had even been released. That game came out in February of 2019. And I think I did a really good job with the general environment of this map in making it look like Far Cry New Dawn, even though I had no idea what Far Cry New Dawn was actually going to look like. I mean, I had seen the Far Cry New Dawn reveal trailer, but apart from that, there wasn't really a whole lot of content to go off when creating this map. Now, the first thing you might immediately observe is that the cars and the containers of the two fortresses and even the bushes are pink, and some of you guys may be thinking how I was able to do that. As you know, there is no actual pink assets in the Far Cry 5 editor, so all you have to do to make these items pink, I will disclaim first that they used to be an original red color. But all you have to do is you go into the environment and audio section of your toolbox, you go into post FX, and then you come to the color filters. And color filters are basically change the color of the screen of your whole map. And so I selected this color filter called Cyber. And I think it's the Blood Dragon filter. And so if you turn it all the way to 100%, it just makes everything look ridiculously overexposed, I guess you could say. I'm not really too familiar with those concepts with the correct terminology. But anyway, what you want to do is you want to put it about 0.4. And what this is going to allow you to do is have a really nice pink overlay over all the objects. So if you're trying to create a New Dawn map, I definitely suggest you employ this tip, as it creates basically everything that is red on the map a pink color scheme, which is basically the main color palette of the Far Cry New Dawn game. The other thing that I would suggest is to make a lot of, I guess, dense super bloom type vegetation. So as you guys can see here, I've really tried to color the terrain with quite a lot of different vegetation plants. So there's all different types of bushes and flowers and things, and as I said, the color filter allows the red weed flowers to turn into pink, which really reinforces that Far Cry New Dawn theme. Another thing I was really proud of when designing this map was when I was considering what to put in this no man's land between the two bases. Obviously, without these cars here, there's pretty much no cover. And so I was pretty proud of myself to think of using the iconic cars in the Far Cry New Dawn, from the Far Cry New Dawn game cover, as pieces of cover that players can use to get behind and use as points of cover, points of hard cover, to help them get from their side of the base to the enemy base. Not only does it look awesome and iconic, but it also serves a really good gameplay purpose. And I'll briefly mention, as I said, I don't want to mention all the gameplay tips in this video because I've got another video on the same map coming up very soon with gameplay included. But these cars have proved to be extremely worthy. I've had a lot of great gun battles with an enemy opponent by being behind one of these cars and they're behind another car on the other side of the river. And there's just this stalemate between us because we're both trying to peek out of our cover and try and pick the other person off. Here you've got this river. You've got my very poor attempt trying to create a realistic waterfall. But yeah, the river creates kind of like a barrier. Obviously, players are kind of forced to use the bridge because if you do get trapped in the water, you're extremely vulnerable. Everyone knows you're there. You're just going to be a sitting duck, and yeah, you're going to be taken out pretty easily. And so I'll move on to the 3 pathways that players can use to traverse this map. There's this natural rocky bridge on one side of the map. There is this main central bridge, and then there is another bridge on the other side of the map. And these 2 bridges act as vehicle type bridges. I mean, of course, you can transport yourself across these bridges by foot as well. But there is a few vehicles on the map, although I will say vehicle gameplay doesn't do quite as well as what some other maps might do. I don't really like to emphasize vehicle gameplay too much in my maps because I know that without game modes and vehicle respawning, vehicles aren't really going to be used that much in the Far Cry 5 multiplayer. So I don't really focus too much on vehicle combat in my maps that I create, but I thought it would be a cool concept to kind of do. And when I was looking through the vehicles on the editor, I came across this vehicle here, which is already a natural pink color. I didn't even have to worry about the color filter. It was already pink, and it looked really cool. It looked a little bit like the Far Cry New Dawn style of the Highwaymen vehicles that I saw from the reveal trailer. So I decided to employ some of these bad boys around the map, 2 starting at each base. And those are really helpful because they've got really powerful mounted machine guns on them that will definitely allow you to have a lot of devastating suppressing fire on the enemy team. One thing I like to do on my maps is to make the map feel like it's part of a larger world. So as you guys can see here, there's some tunnels that sort of go out into the unplayable area of the map. And that's just to ensure players are immersed in the environment, are immersed in the whole experience of the gameplay, so they don't feel like the map is just, they don't feel like this is just the map and then outside the map it's just emptiness. I don't think that that's a very good way to do a map because it just breaks that immersion. And immersion is so important for gaming nowadays. So now I'm going to quickly jump into the playable mode so you guys can see the map from a first-person perspective rather than the map editor perspective. Just quickly, I'll talk about the classes. So we got Spray and Pray, Guns Blazing, Joseph's Fire, and Barium. So Spray and Pray is your classic assault rifle submachine gun class. Guns Blazing is the OMG and shotgun. Joseph's Fire is probably one of the most useless classes because everyone knows how bad flamethrowers are in Far Cry multiplayer games. They really don't do anything. They're cool in the campaign, but in multiplayer they just suck. And then we got Barium, which is the shovel launcher and the 44 Magnum L and a shovel. Can't forget about the shovel. So I'll just spawn in with Spray and Pray. So all the spawns for each team are based within the base themselves. As you guys can see here, there's mounted machine guns on each of the corners of the base, although those aren't really that great. They're more just for aesthetic and not so much for gameplay. enhancements, because as you guys can see here, this mounted gun is kind of useless when you think about it. There's not a whole lot of space that it can fire at. There's only really one section that it can fire at, and so it's not really going to be that useful. It's more just to add to the general aesthetic of the map. I tried to create each base as if it's like its own self-sustaining community. So you've got your underground bunker here, which you can't actually access because I didn't want the surface area of the map to be too large. Otherwise it would take players forever to find each other, and it would just be very slow paced in general. You've got your general store here. Some of this is lacking detail purely because of the budget limitations of the square grids. You can't place too many objects within one area, otherwise the editor just freaks out, unfortunately. You've got your memorial statue, I guess you could call it. A small little armory over here with an M79 pickup. So very handy knowledge for anyone watching this video that you've got a nice M79 here to lay down some more suppressing / devastating firepower. And you've got your, I guess, kitchen. And yeah, the underground bunker is meant to be like accommodation. You got your bonfire. And everything within the base you can pretty much climb on. So it really emphasizes that parkour element as well that was added to Far Cry 5. I don't think there were too many other Far Cry games that had this parkour element incorporated where you could pretty much climb on anything. And it reminds me a lot of Dying Light as well. That game had some really cool parkour. But yeah, the parkour really allows you to be extremely mobile. And so I wanted to give players that freedom that they could climb on all the objects and not add invisible barriers, because I wanted each base to be extremely a frantic environment to fight in. You've also got these secret entrances and exits, which are small little gaps in the fortress walls, which are made out of the containers. And yeah, each base is symmetrical, so I'm not really going to go too much into detail about the next base that I'm about to go to, but I thought I'd just drive across the river, as you guys can see. Like I said, the vehicle gameplay, there isn't much of it. The roads are pretty short, but you know, those vehicles have mounted machine guns on them, so like I said earlier, they're going to be extremely helpful if you want to take out quite a lot of people. And I'll get into that more in detail in the next video, which will be a gameplay video. There's my tag. If you have a YouTube channel, especially a Far Cry YouTube channel, I definitely recommend you put some sort of tag to your YouTube channel. It's just good advertising, I guess. So as we see on this side, there's the tunnel that makes you feel like it's part of a larger world. I'll just quickly show you that the other tunnel is a little bit differently. Oh, that's right. There's also a children's playground and some toilets. Because you know how important those things are. But just quickly, I'll move on to the other end of the map. I probably could have just gone into the editor view to speed things up a little bit quicker. But as you guys can see on this part of the map, it's a caved in tunnel. And just quickly, the basic backstory of this map, oh gosh, I added some bears as well. They're on either end of the map as well, so watch out for those things. I think I'm in play mode, so it probably knows I'm here. Yes, it knows I'm here. I'm just gonna go back into the editor view so we're not distracted by him. But the basic backstory of this map is that this was like a secret highwayman base in between, you know, a highway that used to be here, which is obviously all eroded away due to the nuclear bomb. And just over the playable area, you can see how ugly it really gets. Obviously, you want to kind of hide that away from the players, like I said, so you don't break the immersion. And another helpful tip I guess I can give you guys is that there's these signs that kind of point to players the way to go. It just gives them a little bit more indication. This map is really simple in terms of its layout, but I just think that those arrows really reinforce the pathways that players can take. And some players who are new to the game might be unfamiliar with where to go, or even with a new map, it doesn't matter how simple the layout is unless it's something like shovel dodges. I still think it's good to put the signs down because it just allows players, whether they're new or old to the map, to really familiarize themselves with the pathways that they can use to traverse the map. And the final thing I guess I'll talk about is the use of these trucks on the side here. Like I said, you can pretty much climb everything, and these trucks are no exception. And they just provide you guys a nice little sniper nest on the side of the map, which is a little bit away from all the action. So you might be able to, sneakily use those two trucks as a nice vantage point to do some reconnaissance on the enemy team, or to even take them out yourself from a flanking position. But anyway, that is all I wanted to talk about for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. This video is a little bit more slow paced than the gameplay video, which should be up shortly, purely because it's just me taking you guys through the editor view and the first person point of view in terms of the design and construction phase of the map. I sometimes go into a lot of detail, but other times I don't go into too much detail, but it's pretty self-explanatory, especially in the editor view. But if you guys have any more questions about the map itself, please don't hesitate to comment any thoughts in the comment section down below. But anyway, thank you guys very much for listening. This is Braddels Gaming. Remember to have yourselves a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.